How's it, everyone? Welcome to another string review right here on OpenCourt. So today we're taking a look at an underrated Japanese string manufacturer. It's not Yonex. Today we're taking a look at the brand Gosen. The specific string we're reviewing today is the Gosen G Spin 3. Let's check it out. So Gosen was established back in 1951. They're a Japanese manufacturer, so you know they make good quality strings. They primarily specialized in synthetic gut strings. My favorite of their synthetic gut line is the OG Sheep Micro Super. That's one of my favorite synthetic guts on the market. But today we're taking a look at the polyester G Spin 3. So this G Spin is an offshoot of the G Tour polyester string, which is a round monofilament. This is a six-sided hexagonally shaped string, which you know I like shaped strings. This string is made with an HPP polyester core, that stands for high purity polymer. I couldn't find too much information on what exactly this is, but from feedback online, I heard that it's supposed to make the string a little bit softer, a little bit more elastic, so it adds a little bit of power. And it also has that silicone oil coating on the outside to maintain snapback, kind of like the Yonex silicone oil infusion, although this one is not infused, it's just on the outer coating. This G Spin Tour comes in two colors, red and black. I'm testing out the black version, and this also comes in supposedly 3 gauges. I got the 123 millimeter, but on the back of the package it says it also comes in a 119 and a 127. I couldn't find those on the American online retailers, but maybe you could find those different gauges on different websites. And the MSRP price of this string is about $15.99, but right now on Tennis Warehouse and other retailers, it's selling for about $9 a set. Anything under $10 is a pretty good deal. So Gosen actually makes quite a bit of polyester strings like the G Tour and the Polylon and the Sidewinder, but I chose this specific G Spin 3 because I believe it's one of the newer lines and it is hexagonally shaped, and I wanted to test out that bite. And last thing to note on the packaging over here, it says feeling plus spin, and on the back of the package it's all in Japanese, but it says that this string is supposed to have a crisper playing feel, which is what I want in polyester strings. So I got this strung up in my Speed Pro, the 2013 edition, at 50 pounds in the mains and 48 in the crosses. It's a couple pounds lower than my reference tension because this is a tight string pattern with a stiff feeling. So I'm excited to get this G Spin 3 on the court. I've never used it before, so let's see how this plays. So with the Gosen G Spin 3, I was curious about whether the string itself will fulfill all the promises listed on the packaging, and I'm happy to report that for the most part it does. The packaging says feeling plus spin, so let's start with the feeling. This string is livelier than I expected. Most black strings play very dead, but the G Spin had that crisp and solid pop every time I struck the ball dead center. I like that crisp response because I can feel where I'm hitting on the string bed and where on my opponent's court my shot will land. Confidence really comes from predictability, and for the most part this string gave me that. If I'm confident in my strokes, I can go for smaller targets, corners, short angles, and high risk shots, even on the run or from a defensive position. Also, since I put it in my Speed Pro with its tight 1820 pattern, it enhanced that liveliness. The response isn't quite as crisp as Headlink's Tour or Solinco Tour Bite, but it's very close. Personally, I like the lively response on my touch game. I don't have the power to pass people with my ground strokes, so I rely on a more finesse-oriented, deceptive style of tennis. The G Spin allowed me to hit drop shots, angle volleys, lobs, and slices with confidence and ease. I really like this string for doubles, where the lively response allowed me to use every inch of the larger court. I've played with a bunch of muted strings lately, so this was a very nice change of pace. Now let's get into the spin. Since I put the G Spin in an 1820 pattern, the spin level wasn't as devastating, but it was still above average. That says a lot considering the super tight pattern of the Speed Pro. The G Spin has a decent amount of string movement. Even in my tight pattern, I really felt the strings displacing on fast swings. Consequently, I feel the G Spin would have a slightly higher launch angle compared to other polys. Thankfully, I put it in my Speed Pro so it gave me some assistance with net clearance. The spin was especially noticeable on slices. The tight pattern and string bite really gripped the ball and sent it low over the net. The result was a low skidding slider that my opponent had to pop up. I had to rely on my slice return often during one of my recent doubles matches with this string, and I was able to keep the ball low and away from the net person with ease. I was also able to unlock a decent amount of top spin on my kick serve. The string really grips the ball on the kick serve well. This grip allows me to pull the ball down inside the line, and I saw the serve bouncing up and away. I'm really curious how this string will play in a more open pattern. Regardless, the grip and edges of this string impart a lot of spin on topspin forehands, kick serves, and slices. Next, I was actually surprised by the power level. The G Spin 3 actually provides a decent amount of pop. It's not quite at the level of a soft power poly like Polyfiber TCS or Head Lynx, but I noticed the trampoline effect, especially on my flat serve. I felt the ball sinking into the string bed and launching off with force. I like to try and flatten out my forehand return as well when I use my Speed Pro, and the G Spin assisted with hitting penetrating forehand returns. Even off my backhand wing, I was able to get some decent pace off my two-hander. At net, the G Spin packed a decent punch on high volleys and overheads. If I ever got something above my shoulders, I could usually put it away without issue, and I appreciated the slightly higher power level on low volleys. I just had to block the ball in front of my body and I could send the ball over deep. The less I have to think on low defensive shots, the better. Overall, I was pleasantly surprised all throughout this playtest. I did not expect to enjoy this string this much. Just to wrap up, I want to say my favorite shot to hit with the Gosen G Spin 3 were my volleys. My net game was seamless with this string because it gave me the feel and response I enjoy when utilizing my touch game and slices. The string also grips the ball well for spin, and I can carve up the court with my angles. And the power level allowed me to put away anything high so I could always stay on the offensive when at or approaching the net. But there were some minor issues I had with this string, so let's get into those now. So moving into the cons of the Gosen G Spin 3, I shouldn't really say cons, more like some nitpicks here and there. First of all, although the power level with this string is decent, it's by no means a soft string. In fact, I'd say the string was pretty stiff. I think if you have arm issues, this string will do you no favors. I don't suffer from arm pain, so I actually like a stiffer string because it gives me that solid feedback, but many people in the comment section always ask me about soft polys. I would not put the G Spin 3 in that category, so be careful if you're thinking of trying this string if you have some arm pain. Secondly, the response changed gradually as the playtest wore on. The nice solid feel becomes more and more springy and wiry the more I played with the G Spin. There wasn't a sharp drop in tension or anything. In fact, the tension maintenance isn't the problem. I just felt the response became somewhat wiry. I felt a lot of vibration even in the sweet spot during the 5th play session, which was my most recent doubles match. The added vibration made it harder for me to gauge my drop shots and my short angle ground strokes. I ended up pushing them more than I expected, so my drop shots went deeper, which my opponent could run down, or my short angles went wide and out. This wasn't a huge issue, but I definitely liked the feel of the G Spin better when it was fresh. And lastly, the G Spin was a bit of a pain to string. The sharp and wiry edges of this string hurt my fingers when I was weaving the crosses, particularly near the end of the racket at the throat. If you have an 1820 racket like me, stringing this is not fun, but that's a minor issue. Once you get the G Spin on the court, this string is a blast. And lastly, I just want to say, make no mistake, I did feel this string was a little more powerful than I expected, but this is no means a power poly. It is still lower powered. If you string this in the mid 50s, you can get a decent amount of control, but the power level will drop off significantly. So who is the Gosen G Spin 3 string for? It's for players who want a decent all-around combination of spin, power, feel, and a crisp response. The tension maintenance is also pretty decent, although the vibration levels increase as the playtest went on and it becomes a little bit more springy and wiry. You've probably heard the expression jack of all trades, master of none. The G Spin is a master of two, in my opinion, the spin and feel categories, especially when fresh. But it does everything else at or above average. If you're curious to try this string, make sure you have a healthy arm first, because I did feel it was on the stiffer side, so comfort level is probably below average. If you've been hearing about how good some of the Japanese tennis brands are like Yonex and Dunlop and are curious to try something new, the G Spin or the G Tour strings from Gosen could be a good starting point. I also recommend the Gosen OG Sheep Micro Super if you want to try a good all-around synthetic at a bargain price. So the G Spin 3, have you tried it? Let me know what you guys think, and I'm excited to try out the G Tour poly strings in the future. Thank you for watching this review of the Gosen G Spin 3 right here on OpenCourt. If you guys like this content, be sure to overhead smash that like and subscribe button, and I'll see you on OpenCourt.